do you want to just kick off by telling us a little bit about HubTiger and how you got started?
Sure. So HubTiger is a tech startup. We're building technology solutions specifically for the cycling industry. Pretty much in the cycling industry, there are no or very little technology solutions specifically for the cycling industry. So we saw that massive gap. It started about 3 or 4 years ago, where we were looking to build a technology solution, and we're looking at the cycling industry. We're talking to bike shops, we're talking to cyclists, and we realized, the bike shops were selling these very expensive bikes, up to 200,000 Rand. But when you booked in for a service, they were doing these, paper calendars, and everything was done on paper, and it was just all over the place. Bike shops didn't have a clue about their cyclists, about their customers. They didn't know how many Ks they ride, anything about their service history, even though they're doing it themselves. It was just a shambles really on the bike shops. And these are bike shops when you walk in, and they are beautiful retail areas. And on the consumer side of things, these guys are expecting the cycling industry to be like other industries. If you think about Uber Eats, you open up an app, you check out your local restaurants, you choose something, and the cycling industry is not like that at all. They're still stuck in the 1980s. And so the more interviews I did with cyclists and bike shops, Cycling South Africa, and also international, realized there's a massive gap here, and we've been trying to fill it ever since. So,
awesome.
Yeah, so in the first couple of years, there was a lot of cold calling. You walk into bike shops in the middle of nowhere, and you just cold call, and it was a real struggle. A lot of basically get out the shop, and slowly but surely, we've just started to get better and better, and now we're in 14 countries, and it's been quite a journey.
Amazing, eh? So what's the problem? That it sounds like you sort of identified the problem of what you solve for the bike shops, obviously just having some kind of technology to manage their shops. Why would a consumer engage with HubTiger?
So the consumers now can just book in with their local bike shop. So they can book in a service, they can follow their service throughout. They've now got service history around their bike. That's why the secondhand market is horrible compared to the car market, because the car market has service history around a car. With a bike, which costs almost the same, there's no service history before. So now you can say, look, I've serviced my bike 4 times, I've bought these components, etc. And in international markets, customers can also pay. They can pick up and drop off. So bike shops will come pick up your bike, take it back, service it, and drop it off, and then the customer can pay. And those are we do that for bike shops in the UK and Australia, etc. Not so much here in South Africa.
Cool, Stuart. So do you want to tell us a little bit about how you went about growing HubTiger from South Africa into, I think now 14 international markets?
Sure. So the way we thought about it was we had this tool which was solving a lot of problems for bike shops. Now we could go directly to bike shops, and there are 40,000 globally, and that would take us a very, very long time. So what other entities are there that would benefit from bike shops using our tool? So that's the kind of thinking that we had. So in terms of bike shops, there are bike brands that, for instance, sell their bikes to bike shops. And if those bike shops do really well, their brand really does really well. So we thought, okay, what we can do is we can go to bike brands like Specialized or Giant or Trek, show them the tool, show them how we can how their dealers can benefit from using HubTiger. And it might take us a couple of months to get to those people, but once we do, they'll start pushing it down into their dealers. And so we had, for instance, specialized here in South Africa, we had specialized in Australia, almost pushing all their dealers to now go on to HubTiger. In South Africa, also Trek. So that was one of the pillars. We had 3 pillars in terms of growth. Because we have limited resources, we can't just go and cold call all the time. The second one was point of sales. So bike shops will use a point of sale, which will have all the inventory and their pricing, and customers will come in and buy something, and then they put all the details in a point of sale and do the payment. But what pretty much every point of sale doesn't have is a workshop solution, which is what HubTiger does. And if we integrate into that point of sale, we make the point of sale more sticky. So we would get to so basically we connected with point of sales like Vend and Lightspeed and Xero, and we showed them the benefit of HubTiger and how we can make their solution look better to their customers and to potential customers. So then we did a number of campaigns with point of sales. So in Australia, for instance, Vend pushed HubTiger really hard because if bike shops saw HubTiger, they potentially go on to Vend as well. So it's really benefit to Vend, and Lightspeed's done the same in various markets. And then the third pillar for growth was associations. So you have bike retailer associations that will want to give their dealers really good tools, business tricks, very similar to Civitas with the entrepreneurship group, but bike associations do that for the bike retailers. And so we've connected with ACT in the UK, which has 4,000 bike shops in their dealer network, I guess, and NBDA in the States. And so we can show those associations that if their dealers have HubTiger, it will give them benefit, and then we give them discounts. So so that was where our 3 pillars of growth, thinking about which entities would benefit with bike shops underneath them using HubTiger.
Stuart, and setting up those distribution reseller relationships, strategic alliance or partnerships, were they financially based and contractually based? Or was it more just getting in there, pitching, getting them excited about what you could potentially do for these bike shops, and then they were happy to open up their database and do intros?
It's a bit of both. So for instance, the associations, we have to partner with them, and then we give them discount, we give their dealers discounts. So that has to be some kind of contractual basis. They do a few things for us. We go onto their webpage, they do webinars, etc., using HubTiger, and then we give their dealers discounts. With the bike brands, look, they don't want to sign anything, and I wouldn't want to sign anything. They just really want their dealers to get onto HubTiger, so there's no contractual basis there. And then the second one was the point of sales. There are contracts there. We get referral fees, they get referral fees, so there's a little bit of a you scratch my back, I scratch your back kind of thing.
Awesome, mate. Cool. So we want to talk a little bit about then actually going into different markets. Have you basically, it seems like it was mostly distribution stuff there, a little bit about the complexities of managing in different time zones, managing in different languages, anything that you could learn that might be helpful to other entrepreneurs choosing which markets to go after, and managing the time zone language issue?
Sure. I think in the beginning, I think for the first 2 years, we got 25 bike shops in the first 2 years, right? And now we kind of do that in a month. And in the beginning, you'll take what you get. Like if someone from Bolivia comes and approaches you and says, you want to use HubTiger? Yes, or, whatever you want, we'll take it. And then as you get older and you grow a bit, I guess you're a little bit more focused. So the complexities, I did all the sales, for instance. I've done a demo every single hour of the day, except 4 a.m. I've done loads of 5 a.m. demos and loads of 6 a.m. demos to like New Zealand. So the complexity is definitely, it's that stretching your resources. So because we had limited resources, now you can imagine we have bike shops in the States all the way through to New Zealand. We're having support throughout the day. You never get a break. You're having demos, and so there's definitely complexity in terms of stretching resources. The language, we have a number of bike shops in Mexico and in South America a little bit. I guess because we're a tech solution, we can have language files. We just translate. It's super easy. The complexity really comes around in support. Now you have a call with these people, and they don't understand you. You don't understand them, and you kind of muddle your way through. It's not great. So as we've progressed, our focus now is the English regions until we grow our team. So we've got Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and United States. It's just better for support, etc. So yeah, I guess when you're young, take what you get, and that does add complexity. And then when you have grown a bit, like we have, a little bit more focus.
Awesome. So you're now, I think, a decent sized team, and I know from a little bit of your work history that you've managed larger teams before. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you built the team from the problem of solving the tech co-founder issue, which many people have faced, and then a little bit about how you've hired and really put together a great team of people at HubTiger?
Sure. The tech team is definitely a difficult one to get right. I've been really lucky. We've got 2 tech founders, actually, and they are beasts. I mean, I would choose them over a team of 5 or 6 any day. They work long hours, and they're quite experienced. I've definitely made some mistakes in hiring, especially on the tech side, and I'll tell you about it now. So the one tech founder, Jonathan, I've worked with him in my previous company. So I had worked with him for like 3 or 4 years. I knew his work ethic, I knew his capabilities. So that was really lucky in that aspect. And then Michael, who's the other tech founder, was really lucky. It was through LinkedIn. We'd gone through a number of requirements, and somehow found him. He's got like 20 years experience. He's a beast, and he's super excited about our story. So nothing really earth-shattering in terms of finding tech founders. I think it was a bit of luck and working with one of them.
Right. Cool, man. And then on the hiring strategies, I know you've mentioned a few good ones on sort of getting reference checks and sort of how do you go about screening for good talent?
Yeah. So I think, as a leader of a team, leader of a company, pretty much 2 things you need to get right. One is giving your company direction and giving them purpose. And the second one is hiring the right people. Because if you don't have the right people, your company's going nowhere really quickly. And so I'd rather spend a few months hiring the right people than years trying to fire that person. So a number of things I do. Obviously, references are a big thing, because you can get insights into how they've worked previously. But those initial references are usually the people you're trying to hire. It's their friends. And so those friends are always going to give you good references. The best thing is to get the second round references. So when you're chatting to that first round reference, say, that's great, thank you for all your insights. Do you have any other people that used to work with X? And do you have their contact details? And then you call those people. Because usually those are not, it's a mix between friends, not friends, and they'll be a little bit more open and honest than the references given by your potential hiree. So that's in terms of references. And then I think we've tried various things from personality tests to I always like to ask riddles in my interviews, and I ask the same riddles. And it's not really about the answer. I mean, most people get the answers wrong. It's how they come up with those answers, which fascinate me. And I've, on a few occasions, not hired people just because of how they've answered and how they, yeah. And so it's a journey. I think you need to figure out what are the various things you need to look at. So if you're hiring for a finance position, there are certain requirements that are needed and certain things you need to test for, especially for understanding numbers really quickly and being able to discuss them. If it's development, how they're going to work in a team, it's a very much team-oriented role in that aspect. So yeah, it's a difficult one, but
yeah, it's not easy, I think, for any founder, especially in those early days where you haven't got big budget. One of the big challenges a lot of founders face is focus. So either starting multiple businesses or what to prioritize and work on. Do you want to share a little bit about your experience on how you think about focus and prioritization in your business?
Yeah. This goes against my personality, to be honest, because I want to do everything and anything. But with a startup, you have such limited resources, such limited time, you have limited budget, and you can either try and do 10 things okay, or you can do one thing really well. And, people talk about pivoting, but that's really, they only get to pivoting once they've tried that one thing and they realize it doesn't work. But if you've got something, people are starting to pay you for it, etc. And other opportunities start coming at you, and they will. And it kind of muddies the water a bit. If you've got something that works, you need to ignore everything that people are throwing at you and really focus on that one thing. I've made my mistakes in the past, and it definitely cost us a few months here and there, because we try to do this and then we try to do that. It was during COVID, so we were a bit panicky of like what's going to go on. But at the end of the day, if you have a product that people want to buy, you make sure it is the best product in the world, and you just keep focusing on improving that thing every day. So you have that, you learn from your customers, and you get that learning feedback loop, and really just focus on that, and ignore all the other opportunities that might come along, because it will take from your resources, it will take from your time, it will take from your mental capacity, and it will slow you down as a startup.